Okay, so I met someone last year at Eurovision, and just before I met them, I was literally drawn to them when they were on stage. I've never ever seen them on stage before. One of the hosts of Eurovision. Since then, just in 12 months, career-wise, it's kind of taken off even more. It's exploded with Radio 1 presenting, hosting literally every single Pride across the UK this summer, and lots more big things to come, including a one night in Liverpool. Straight Expectations is the tour at the Playhouse Theatre on Saturday, 14th of September. Danny Beard, hello.
Hi, Gorge. How are you?
I'm good. I love the way you've chose Saturday night for Liverpool, for your hometown, for the Scousers.
Listen, if there's one thing we do right, it's a party, and a Saturday night is the perfect night for a party. There's no excuses for people to say, oh, well, I've got work tomorrow. Oh, no. Oh, no. People need to be there with bells on in the best outfits and the best singing voice ready because this show, I think, is the best I've ever done. I just know in my bones, Saturday's the perfect night for Liverpool. There's a few other cities I made sure we did a Saturday night. Liverpool was the top of the list.
Tell us what I can work out. I can kind of understand what you will bring to stage that night. Just for anyone that doesn't know, that might not have seen you before, what is the show all about? What can we expect?
It is, well, it's called Straight Expectation, so expect the unexpected, but it's a traditional drag show for today. There's amazing costumes, an amazing five-piece live band. When I say drag show, it's not lip sync, it's all live vocals, our own arrangements and music. It's a really good night out, feel good. Maybe some touching moments if it's right, maybe not. There will be, because I like to be dramatic. I'm a drag queen. And there'll be lots of rude words. So do not bring kids. It's certainly not a kid show. But do bring your nan, because she probably will love it at the end of the day.
Oh, no, Scouse Nans will love it, will adore it. We've got to talk about your voice, by the way, because as you say, a lot of drag artists do, they mime. You don't.
Yeah.
You've got a powerhouse of a voice. I heard you at Pride Classical a few weeks back in Liverpool, which was amazing, by the way. Your
Thank you
voice
very
is
much.
incredible. We've got to put that out there.
Bless you. Do you know what? Well, thank you, first of all. I just feel really lucky. It's like everything's just kind of lined up and all made it possible. And I've sung for like over 10 years in gay clubs and pubs and different events. And then obviously post Drag Race. So it's just meant I've been able to do everything on such a bigger level. And working with this live band is something I always wanted to do. And it's our second year of doing it now. So everything's just gone a lot more smoothly, and like the rehearsals, like me coming in and saying I want to do this song but I want it to sound like this, or I just feel super lucky that I get to tour like this, because this isn't a drag show like other drag shows. So I just feel, I know it sounds really, I don't want to be a, can I swear? I
Of course you
shouldn't
can.
swear, should I? Well, I was going to say I don't want to be a dick, but I genuinely always just feel really lucky that I get to work like this. People are buying tickets. Like Liverpool's already got really good sales for the tour, and I just feel so supported and loved. And I wanted to do this for so many years. So the fact that it's my job and that I get to talk about it with you like this now, it makes me feel so lucky. So I'm just made up that we get to do it and people give a shit.
They do give a shit. Of course they do. You mentioned recently you done a stint on Radio One, which was brilliant. I
Yeah.
loved hearing a Scouse voice on Radio One because I'm a radio presenter. I've always wanted to be on Radio One, and when I heard it, I was like, yes, at last. But you said at the time that your career has been going for many years before Drag Race, before Britain's Got Talent. You've done
Oh God.
radio, you've done podcasts, you've kind
Yeah.
of already trained yourself and put the work in, haven't you? So with that, is this the kind of point in your career where you're thinking now, yeah, everything has worked out, the work has paid off?
Do you know what? It's a funny question, because I think from the outside, people go, "You're smashing it! Oh my God, you're presenting radio!" Like what you've just said, right? People will say things like that, but from where I am, you never feel like you're making it. You never feel. I mean, I'm grateful, but you always want the next thing, or you see the big TV show that you were nearly in the mix, that you were in the mix for, that you nearly got, or or whatever, or so you never feel like you're making it, because you're always chasing that next thing in work and that next thing. And I think like this tour, when I started with the band, it was like, well, what's next? What's next? And then we wanted Edinburgh, and then we did the tour last year, and then I was like, right, well, this year, this is how I want the tour. So I'm just always so focused on work and what's next. I don't really sit there and think, I'm doing it, I've made it. And I think maybe people that do, maybe they're the ones that are, maybe they're the ones that are knobs. I don't know. I just always think what's next. So I never feel like I am. But sometimes it's nice to sit there and go, oh, I've done them things, you know?
For all them opportunities, like for instance, Radio One, do you kind of hunt them down? Do they come to you? You know, is it
It's,
you manifesting these? How's it all happen? Obviously, it's
it's,
talent. We know that, but
yeah, it's totally both. Like I have an amazing management team now that based in London for all like TV and commercial and radio stuff, Mirador, and I have my own in-house live booking agents, and then So Comedy produced the theatre tour. So it's a team effort really, and I'm again so lucky I've got a team of people around me. But for the Radio One job specifically, they came to me, which was really really amazing. And I will always be super grateful for Aled, who's the head of Radio One there, and all the team, because there isn't a lot of people like, while drag's very mainstream right now, there's also a little bit of people taking a step back from drag and, you know, thinking, oh, is it a bit too risky? Or, and to put me on a Friday and Saturday every week for 4 months on a block for, you know, prime time in the middle of the day, like 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. They really had to trust me not to drop the C bomb, you know?
did you, were you close at any point?
Do you know what? No, it's like, you know, when you're in front of your nan or someone, you know, you shouldn't really swear and you just don't. It's just that same feeling. I mean, you know what it's like, but I have done a few slip ups in the past. I got ITV2 taken off air on the Big Brother after show when I dropped the C bomb twice in a row unintentionally, and I was so mortified. You can see me, I go bright red. I was mortified.
Let's go back, Danny, to your time in Liverpool. You moved away. You went to
Yeah.
uni in Manchester, didn't you? But obviously, you grew up here in Liverpool. You're still a proud Scouser. What do you love most about the city? Do you love coming back and performing and kind of showing off now how well you've done?
Do you know what I this answer's changed over the years because obviously all my family's there. My mum and dad live in the Wirral now. Traitors, I know. And I just always feel so supported and so loved by a Scouse audience. It just has a different feeling when you're in that room. Here's an example. Last year on tour, the Liverpool show was about 35 minutes longer than every other show. And the theatre were like, oh, hurry up, finish, get off, get off. Because it was just so electric in there. And I felt there was so much love in the room. And my style of comedy, I write about 3 or 4 things on a piece of paper and think, oh, we'll talk about them. And if it's funny, then I'll say it again the next night. And if it's not, I'll think of something else. And I don't sit and write jokes. But when there's that love and support in the room, and obviously because I grew up in Halewood and I know Liverpool, there was just so much more to take the piss out of and so much more to say. And I shouldn't say it, but Liverpool always get the longest and best show.
That's good to know. That is good to know.
Yeah.
What was it like back then, growing up? Obviously, you know, you wanted to be a drag artist. Liverpool has got some great LGBT venues. You know, we've got our own street, but I think we can do better. I'm not sure what you think. I think we could expand on that offering, and we look at Pride and stuff. This year was great, but that's taken a while. What was it like in your early days doing drag in the city?
Being real, when I was a kid, it was awful. Like I was very, very badly bullied, and it wasn't a great experience. I hated being a kid. I couldn't wait to grow up, which is silly now because I've not really ever grown up. But I think when it comes to like the queer space, the gay space in Liverpool, you know, the space for LGBTQ plus people, um, I've never really worked on that Liverpool scene because of the type of drag I do, which is singing and performing. And you know, back in the day, I'd drive and do 5 gigs in a week and drive to place, and I'd do an hour's cabaret show. And Liverpool didn't never really had that space, and it does now, which is great. But I think I always found Liverpool was being a Scouser was it was hard to get people to out and support in the spaces. Places would kind of open and close a little bit, whereas Manchester, which is where I live now, and I've lived since I went to uni here. Again, I'm an even worse traitor than my parents, so don't shout at me. Um, like their queer space, their gay space, people are out all the time supporting it. So I think the biggest thing we need to do is remember to support those spaces or we lose them. And they've been so important in our history, not just gay history, but Scouse history too. Um, so I just think people need to get out and support those spaces, especially queer owned, queer run for people. Because while maybe me and you and other people can walk down the street and feel safe, they are safe spaces for people who might not want to go to Weatherspoons. I mean, I don't want to go to fucking Weatherspoons, so
Let's
you
talk
know what I
about.
mean?
Yeah, no, I completely get what you mean. It's funny you say that because I was going to say this to you off this interview, but I'll say it during. I was quite surprised at Pride Classical this year because I thought that is a phenomenal thing they're doing down there. They had a great lineup, including yourself. It was a great stage. It was a great setup. When I got there, it wasn't as busy as what I thought it should have been, and I was quite shocked.
Yeah.
And I was also a little bit sad, thinking we wanted this for years, and now it's here, and you've got to put your hand in your pocket to actually buy a ticket. There wasn't many there. I mean, it was busy, but it wasn't as busy as it could have been.
And you know what? That isn't even what I was talking about when I said that then, but there's a perfect example. Like there's so much effort went into that show, and Liverpool Pride got that show in. The next day, the daytime was free. And as you say, the night before, you've got to buy a ticket. And I also think the climate right now, like the Tories have fucked us over for so many years. The cost of living crisis, which is this crazy manufactured thing everyone's going through, where people are making tough decisions. Am I gonna buy this or am I gonna go to this gig? So I get that it's not accessible for everybody to support everything, but I think when it's your community, and if you're listening to this and oh, that is my community, you know, I'm part of that LGBTQ plus community or an ally, which is just as important. I think we do need to try and support them. And like we had an amazing lineup. We had Jake Shears from the Sisters. There was a 32-piece orchestra. We've been in rehearsals. And yeah, it was a little bit disappointing to see it wasn't packed. There was enough people there that it was still a brilliant night, but we could have had thousands there and we
Yeah,
didn't.
I think if
But
next
I
year,
also don't, yeah, I hope next year that people
hmm,
see it in the word of mouth and people go, oh my God, that was amazing. And I think I'm lucky in a sense because I don't, I'm going to sound like a dick. I'm lucky in a sense. I'm not worried about the ticket sales for this show in Liverpool because, like I said earlier, I feel like there's so much love and support for me there. And it's not that expensive, but there's so much love and support for me there. It's so nice. But the reason I say it is because I want people to put that love and support into other things and not just a drag queen that you've seen on RuPaul's Drag Race for 10 episodes, you
yeah,
know? Support the local drag queens, support the people that don't have that platform that I've had.
it's a really important message. And I think again that Pride Classical was a great. I'd love to see that come back next year and people to have seen it this year on socials or whatever and go, yeah, we'll have a bit of that next time. So fingers crossed, and fingers crossed
Yeah.
you're back on stage as
Yes,
well.
thank you.
Let's talk about your actual act and how you do it. I find this fascinating. Your
Oh
look
God.
is so different, so unique. Just
Yeah.
talk me through how you come up with the Danny Beard look.
Do you know, it's always evolving. Like Madonna's never looked the same. God bless her. Even now in a Space Raider era, she's never looked the same. And I think that's the same with any kind of artist or piece of art. Like when I started drag, I was obsessed with Club Kids of the 80s. And there's a guy called Lee Bowery who Boy George was obsessed with and based himself off for quite a while. And I was really inspired by that. So that's where like the white face and like originally no wig came from and the beard. And then that's kind of grown and developed. And I think now I'm in kind of I like old school glamour, but like with this club kid mix. And I don't know, the aesthetics, the look of it is always growing. It's never something I was like, this is how I want to look. Maybe originally it was, but then, you know, it's been over 10 years and it just grows. And I just, anything that looks really extra and really fab, I love. And like the costumes for this new tour, I send all my costume designers. I have two people that work doing all the costumes who are amazing. Freak Couture in Manchester and Joshua Hansler down south. And I send them all these things and they're like, you are taking the piss. Because I'm like, I'm always trying to push it and push it and push it. And I think, again, if people are buying a ticket to your show, you want it to, well, I think you always want to try and be the best version of that you want to give. So I want to look the best drag queen they've ever seen if they're going to spend 30 quid on a ticket. And I love wearing it. It's a great excuse to look amazing.
Yeah. Well, how long does it take and stuff, Dan? And you know, when does the prep start? Say if you're going on stage for a show at the Playhouse, how long will you be getting ready for?
I always ask for 2 hours makeup time. Obviously, when you're touring with a band, there's lots of different things. So we probably start 3, 4, 5 hours before sound checking, getting the band in, making sure they're all right. I'm absolutely terrible at timing, so I wear an in-ear. Like, I seen this thing on like TikTok ages ago, like Taylor Swift has in her ear 1, 2, 3, and it like counts her in, and I was like, if freaking Taylor Swift's got that, I'm going to have it at the Playhouse. So I have this little in here that keeps me. So we just make sure all that's right. And then I go and spend like an hour and a half probably getting the makeup on alone. And then you've got like 5 layers of tights, foam in your knickers to so you look like you've got a bum like Kim Kardashian, a corset to make your waist. It's the most unglamorous, glamorous job in the world, but the end result
Is
is what it's
perfect.
about. Trust the process.
What would you ever see yourself doing it? And we spoke last time I met you, we spoke about Paul O'Grady and Lily and
Yeah.
you know the impact that he and Lily had on Liverpool, on drag, on the UK really. Would you ever see yourself doing what Paul did and losing Danny Beard as we know it and doing yourself?
I don't think I'll ever lose the drag element because out of everything I do, and I've been so lucky to be able to do so many amazing things, being on stage is, well, one, it's the thing I'm the best at. And it's the thing I enjoy the most. There's nothing like that audience that you don't know what's going to happen, especially the way I do my shows. I don't know what I'm always going to say. I don't know what the end result's going to be. Okay, we know what the set list is, but everything else has got so many variables that's down to you in that moment. I love it. Like, I, as cheesy as it is, I feel like I was born to do it because I couldn't do anything else. So I love that element. But at the same time, I always made a very conscious decision and inspired by Paul to try and work as much in and out of drag as possible, which most people don't do because it's like peddling 2 careers at once. Do you know what I mean? But going and being Danny Beard on the radio and not doing all the drag stuff, but then going in the night and being Danny Beard, the drag queen, it's like trying to get 2 careers off the ground at the same time. But you've got to make the hay while the sun shines, or whatever the saying is. Do you know what I mean? And people might not care who I am in 6 months or 12 months or 6 years. So you've got to just keep putting the work in. So I love it. I've always been like that. Even when I was a kid, I used to work in a flower shop in the Wirral or hairdressers. I would work and work and work to get me money and then go and spend it on ridiculous things. And I've never grown up and still do the same.
Still do the same. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
You mentioned there, Paul. Obviously, you know Lily was such an impact.
Yeah.
So sad that they're no longer with us. That was someone that you admired and looked up to, I presume.
Yeah. I mean, just the TV work alone is for me very inspiring. And if you go back to when Lily was doing it, it was just after like the whole HIV and AIDS crisis, and people's view of gay people and queer people back then wasn't the best. And I suppose the only similarity nowadays is how people view like trans people, and so many people have an opinion on a trans person who don't know a trans person. And I think Lily was quite at the forefront for breaking down those stereotypes and people going, oh, but I like Lily or I like Paul. Do you know what I mean? So just for that alone is inspiring. And also, like, you know, Lily kind of started in places like the Royal Vauxhall Tavern in London where I used to gig all the time. And so there's kind of that weird little affinity of someone who's kind of come from that scene and made it really big, that they're always going to be inspiring to you, you know?
Did you ever meet Paul?
Never.
Never.
And do you know what? Part of me's kind of glad, because it's like, don't meet your heroes. Kind of, I don't know if Lily would have even liked my kind of drag. I wear a white face and it's very, very exaggerated, isn't it? And really, my drag's more like being a clown than being a woman. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Where Lily was taking the mick out of a Liverpool brat, which I love. You know what I mean?
I think I met Paul a couple of times. I was really lucky, and he was literally what you'd expect, just a lovely, lovely guy. He reminds
I
me of
bet.
you a little bit because I've seen you working and stuff, and
Yeah.
lovely with everyone, treats everyone the same, but also doesn't take any crap.
Oh no, you can't. I mean, it's also a bit of a vulnerable position when you stood there as a 6 foot bloke in heels and foam and a foam ass, and hundreds or thousands of people looking at you. They're like, "All right, make me laugh." So you've got to, you've kind of got to control the room, but at the same time, it's a stage persona. Like we're no one special. We're just men in in stupid clothes who are lucky, really, because I'm not getting up every day and having to slog it to the office and feed me kids. So all I have to worry about is my boyfriend and my dog, making sure my fish are fed.
We do a podcast called Nailing It, which we're going to include this in, and it's all about kind of inspiring other people to be
Yeah.
successful and to follow their dreams, whether that's in business, in entertainment, whatever it is. What's your biggest piece of advice you would give someone, whether they're looking just to become an entertainer or to get into the drag world, Danny?
I think it's just always play the long game. Like, there's a lot of people, and especially from like I went on RuPaul's Drag Race and I've done bits of telly, things like that can almost feel like an overnight success. But I don't think I would have been able to still be here. I mean, I only won Drag Race a few years ago, but there's, people from my season who are so incredibly talented who have give up drag or, the work isn't there for them. And I think playing the long game and not always wanting everything now. Like I'm almost the worst person because I know what I'm like. Like I said earlier, want the next thing. What's next? What's next? And the drive's great. But the best thing you can do is put the effort in because it'll all pay off in the long run. Like I wouldn't have been able to put these shows on now if I hadn't have done 10 years working in the pubs and the clubs to cut me teeth and no, when I get a difficult person in the audience, I've met this person a handful of times over 10 years. If I was not had that experience, maybe the show wouldn't be as good. I wouldn't look as good. There's lots of variables. So there's that. And then I always just think, just be nice to everyone. Like nothing is that serious. Do you know what I mean? Like nothing's guaranteed. We're lucky to be here. It's a shit climate that we live in. And why be aggy? Why just enjoy it while you go? And the best way to enjoy it is be nice to everyone because then they're nice back. I think it's that simple. And it doesn't work out for everyone. Sometimes you have to have a plan B or a plan C. I mean, and I knew before I went on Drag Race, I was like, this is the last year I'm going to apply. Every year I'm putting everything into it. And I started thinking about doing other roles behind the camera in TV, and it, I would have been happy doing that maybe, but this kind of worked out, so I'm still doing
Still doing it.
it.
Worked out very, very well. Do you still get nervous at all? And what makes you most nervous?
Yeah,
What situation, what scenario would make you cack yourself a little bit still?
it's normally environments I'm very unsure of, big things. Weird whenever I put too much pressure on myself internally, and but I also every show, no matter where it is, I pace a little bit backstage. I can feel it. It's like it's kicking in the body. And then as soon as I walk out on stage, it's like this weird blur, this blackout, almost not blackout. I don't want to make out like I'm Britney 2007, but it's this weird kind of performative thing. And then sometimes I come off and like people I work with are like, this was a really funny joke. And I was like, oh, did I say that? And I'm like, do you know? It's a weird, weird job and life to live, but I freaking love it.
You love it.
I love it so much. It's so sad, isn't it?
It's not so, it's so great to see, Danny. It really is so great to see. And I think you've got a massively long future ahead. What is
I hope
next for
so.
you? Are you just kind of treading and seeing how it goes? Are you planning ahead? Are you planning forward? Have you got a tick list?
We're always planning ahead. I think there's in this industry, there's certain things I think I need to kind of achieve before I can do the next one to the right standard. For example, I really would love to host my own TV show in and out of drag, but at the same time, I'm still very absolute Z list, where if you're gay and you've watched Drag Race and a few other bits, you might know who I am, but most people probably don't. So we probably need to do something that puts me in the mainstream a bit more. There's loads of things I want to do, but I think as long as I'm happy and I'm working and I'm still able to perform like I am now, I'm making it. I know I don't feel it all the time, but when I was working in the pubs and clubs, I would have said I've made it if I could tour with my own full 5-piece live band, and I'm doing it. So pardon me, tour with my own with my own full 5-piece live band. I'd love to do a musical. We got offered a musical a couple of years ago, and we had to turn it down for this TV work, and then blah blah blah, and all this showbiz bullshit happened. And I would love to do a musical for the right role as well, because I also didn't really like the role I was offered, which I probably shouldn't say, but let's hope they won't hear me say it on here. So yeah, I'd love to do a musical, TV. There's loads more stuff I'd love to do.
What was the role? We've got to ask you.
I don't think I should say. I'll get in trouble. It was Herod in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh,
And I
okay.
did want to do the job, but it was kind of one song, and I just think everything happens for a reason. And I did want to do the job, but then when I had to kind of say, oh no, we can't do those dates now because we're holding out for this thing, I just felt like everything happened for a reason. And I thought my first UK tour experience being in a musical, I might have felt like all revved up only to go on and perform one song. I would have liked to really have been able to work a lot with the cast. And I think that's the beauty of a musical, is you get to work with a team of people every night in different places or in the West End, and to just go on and do one song, I thought it was a bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah. Well, you've made the
Is
right.
that too honest? Am I going to
It's
get in shit now? Am I going to have my management like, you can't say that?
I love how honest you are. I love how real you
They will. They'll be like, you should have said that.
we got to just quickly mention, obviously, Drag Race is so big. People love it.
Yeah,
And I love how mainstream it's gone and how it's kind of put drag artists right at the forefront. And it's really helped, hasn't it, in terms of the
absolutely.
impact of drag around the world. What's it like filming that show? What's RuPaul like, for instance? Tell us what that kind of process is
I
all
mean,
about.
it's the number one question I'm asked is what's RuPaul like? And I'm not mad at it, because she is this like enigmatic, massive superstar, massively famous around the world, biggest drag queen in the world. People are going to ask you, and you know what? I would love to sit here and be like, she was a bitch. Actually, it's nothing like what you see. But she really wasn't. And I think if she likes you and she sees something in you, she wants to help you. And I certainly had that experience. And like just little things like the shoes I wear now, that's because that's the shoe that Rue recommended. She was like, you've got wide feet. You're always taking them shoes off. They're hurting your feet. You need to get these shoes. And she was right. And just little things like that, like tips that you learn off an elder in your business, whatever business that is. And she's the biggest one in the world, giving you tips and hints and pushing you along. So I'll always be grateful of the platform. Filming the show was the best experience ever. I didn't have to think about anything. I got to get up every day for 4 weeks and show off in front of a camera, which for someone who is a professional show off was the best experience ever. It's not for everyone. It is emotionally draining and tough. You know, you're away from your family and there is a pressure. It's a reality competition. Competition can bring the worst out in some people. Some people it brings the best out. I was quite lucky. I felt like it brought the best out in me. So I will always love it.
You'll always kind of respect that show.
Always, you know,
Really, yeah.
and be thankful for the platform. You know, I applied 3 times for the show. I didn't apply for the first season. And then I applied 3 times until I got on. And I think a lot of people who apply for that show see it as the pinnacle, and you know it is in a way, because you know I have people message, come to Brazil. You know, I've been able to tour Australia and tour the world from just doing that show. That's why people want to do it, because they know what it can do for them. But it's also never really about us. They're making a TV show, and it's literally like a lottery. If you're lucky enough to get on, use the platform and the experience to your advantage. And if you put the work in and you put the work in afterwards, you'll get more from it. Some people just kind of expect it to happen, and nothing's going to happen if you just expect it, you know?
I love it. I love the way as well, because you do meet many people from different TV shows, whether it's music or whatever, and they kind of don't want to talk about that show anymore, and they haven't got that respect for the show that kind of put them out there. So it's good to hear you saying that.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting, and I know what it's done for me, because that's why I went on there. You know, I'm not the biggest RuPaul's Drag Race fan in the world. I love the UK version because I love UK drag. but I know what that show can do for people, and I wanted to be a part of it and wanted to challenge myself, and the growth that you have in that short space of time by doing a show like that is amazing. You know, it's not a reality show like Love Island. You know, we put our heart and souls into it. It's our careers. We spend a lot of money to go on there. You know, we don't just have a really hot bikini body and want to go and be famous. That's not what it's about. We want to propel our careers and show the world what we can do. So it's a very different reality show to other reality shows, I think. So
Brilliant.
I'll always be thankful and I'll always speak about it.
Well, listen, we're going to leave. We took loads of your time, Danny. So thank you for chatting to us on the guide.
No, thank you.
Just finally, Saturday, 14th of September, just a few weeks, few tickets available. Why should we get to the Playhouse for Straight Expectations?
Well, I don't want to sound like a real cocky CUNT, but because if you don't get them now, they'll be gone. Because Liverpool's probably the only one that will sell out. No, I'm joking. You know what? It's a really fun night out. It's an escape for me. It's an escape for you. There'll be songs in there that you know and love. I always cater to everyone. And it's a bit outrageous. It's a bit silly. And if you're like me and you don't take yourself too seriously, sit near the front because you'll probably never wear that outfit ever again.
Okay, where to warn it. Check it out. Straight Expectations at the Playhouse, which is a great theatre for this. Of course, in Williamson Square, Saturday, 14th of September. Danny Beard, keep doing what you're doing. Keep flying high.
Thanks, Gorge.
And yeah, keep being a proud Scouser too. I love to see you doing well. Someone from
Thanks,
Liverpool.
Bab.
Danny Beard, thank you.
Ciao, Babs.